Hello, everybody. Here we are on Tuesday night with our usual 7 p.m. thing. Lala and I have been so excited. Craig and I were in Lori and Fenton's UFO Con together in San Francisco. And wow, what a show it was. Craig had a great show. He was moving lots of books, which he's going to tell you about. And we had a lot of time for discussion. It's a smaller festival, like 100 to 200 in that range, but it is intimate and awesome. And everybody there is an experiencer, seen the UFO, interested in working on it. And there's a small vendor area. UFO Con is a great conference. And Craig put out for Chris Bledsoe a picture that Lori Wagner and Lori and Craig are good friends. So Lori Wagner and I put together a PowerPoint presentation, and which was Chris Bledsoe's very first public talk with all of his evidence. And that was at UFO Con in 2020. So Craig, Lala and I are so happy you're here. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for coming on.
You're welcome. Good to see you too. And you too, Bob.
Oh man, this is going to be fun. I've been looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah.
All right, tell us what you got going on.
Well, I just released an
update on the documentary.
It's a DVD, but the documentary to the book.
Yeah, the book is great. Everybody, you should have that book. You got to have that book.
And so, before I even started writing the book, what I didn't realize is the publisher and the agent sent stuff out over the wires. So I started getting people who wanted to make it into a documentary. And I was like, oh man, I hadn't even thought about that. And I'm like, well, I'm a filmmaker. I got documentarian friends like Lori Wagner. And so we did it ourselves. And, so it just was released earlier this year. And people can watch it on Vimeo right now. It's through the distributor. It should be going out into all the streamers by the end of the year. They're all on these different schedules and things like that. So I never know where it's going to appear.
So it appears to me that the legacy program elders and controllers, they are really pushing back on these streamers. They are really working hard to get in the way. So I'm glad there's too many people for them to control, because if otherwise we won't get information out and people don't know where to go to talk to stuff. Craig, tell us about your long life history in the weird stuff.
Well, before I got weird, Bob, Lala, I've always wanted to be in the film business since I was a kid. And so I got into it, going out for commercials and, smaller parts when I was 15. And then I graduated high school when I was like 17 and a half. And I moved out of my parents' house, had 2 jobs, working to support myself. And I actually started working on David Lynch's Dune for 4 years.
Wow.
And so if anybody is a Dune freak for that version of Dune, I can answer any and all questions.
Well, let's see. I have read Dune 3 times, and I've seen that version because I'm a David Lynch fan.
Yeah.
2 times. So yes, I gotta hear about Dino De Laurentiis and his daughter. That's what I gotta hear about.
Well, Dino, of course, was the executive producer. Rafaela was the producer. I worked with Rafaela a lot. And when we were making Dune, we also made Conan the Destroyer at the same time.
Right.
So she was producing both movies. We were at a Studios Churubusco in Mexico City. I was pretty much stationed at Universal in Universal City. And then I would fly back and forth, with props and things that, were needed, etc. And I worked on the film for 4 years. And it was probably really one of the best experiences of my life. There's a wonderful book written by Max Evry, Evry. It's a hardcover. It's like $25 on Amazon. He interviewed everybody who had something to do with Dune, and David Lynch, before he passed, gave his very first interview since Dune.
Because he turned away from Dune, turned his back on it. I'm glad to hear he came back before then. So let me tell you how big a David Lynch fan I am. Before I let you go back to the story I interrupted, for 15 years, almost, not every day, but almost every day, listened to the weather report and got the number on YouTube. David Lynch would do a weather report and pull a number out for whatever reason. He didn't say the reason every single day. And it was just, it was, you kept your heart and mind in contact with his energy by doing it. It was amazing. And I just got addicted to it. And every day I would look at it. I interrupted your story. You didn't get to where the paranormal started, so let's keep going.
It was great. And then I went on to Amazing Stories with Spielberg. That's where I got into my casting career, and then went back to the De Laurentises and started casting some of their films, and have been doing that ever since. When I was 26, I had a major spiritual awakening, and before that, I never thought about anything out there in the universe. And after that awakening, I thought about it a lot. So I began doing lots of research material. I started actually studying face-to-face contactee cases with human extraterrestrial beings, not grays or anything like that, with humans, which a lot of people, because the grays even though the grays were appearing back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, primarily it was all focused around the humans who were coming. So I researched well over 100 of those cases. Some of the people I met and heard their stories and saw their pictures. When I did the ET Species Almanac, I contacted a few of them, like Ricardo Gonzalez, who is in contact with the Alpha Centaurians. But I had also previously met Sixto Paz, who has been on their ships over 100 times. There's another gentleman who lives near me who's also in contact with the Alpha Centaurians. And I actually had a friend when this Alpha Centaurian named Antaral told Ricardo to bring his group out into this big clearing near Mount Shasta. And, they prepared themselves, they sang, they chanted, they meditated. And then Antaral was going to bring a ship in for everybody to see, which he did. And he picked with Ricardo, I think it was 6 or 7 people, to come into the forest and actually meet him.
What went through this portal that they call a Zendra?
Zendra, that's correct. That's correct. And it would be considered a portal, but here's the thing. If they're on their ship, when that Zendra is open and there's a line and you step over that line, you're on their ship.
Yep.
If
Grant Cameron told me about going up there with Paula Harris, and
that's right.
She went in it. She went in the thing, by accident.
Yeah. So and she was one of the people that was in the group, and a lot of people were, completely changed. One person who was not supposed to go, who snuck in, kind of had a meltdown because he wasn't prepared. But anyway, one of my good friends was there, and he stayed out in the clearing and saw everything from afar. He was invited in, but he said he talked to each person as they came out, and he said it was like what it must have been like when, Moses came down off the mountain, because you saw something so out of this world that there were just, everyone had a different, feeling about them. Like they couldn't believe that something like this had just happened. And one of the other major contactees is an Italian man named Maurizio Cavallo. And he is in a little remote village in Italy. And he started many, many moons ago being contacted by a human race called the Clarions. There was also a gentleman in the early 50s who was also being contacted by the Clarions, who was here in California. And he used to go, his name was Truman Bethune, and he used to go to all of the George Van Tassel UFO conventions and talk. So, but Maurizio has pictures of all of the beings, which are in the documentary. Some of them are in the book as well. And it's interesting to hear him talk about who each one of them is, why they were here or why they are still here, and what their job is, right? Like here is an actual, this is one of the photographs of Nelfa.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, they all have this beautiful sort of rounded face like this,
Wow.
right? And Nelfa deals with astrobiology and chronoastronomy. So what that basically means is she works between the physical and the astral worlds, right? And that's also making sure that everything is kept in sync, because there are things like when, starting in the 40s, when atomic bombs started going off, it started shifting things. And so they had to help with equilibrium, not only of our physical universe and the other planets, because it would throw things off center just a fraction, but a fraction is a big deal.
Right.
So they say. So that's very interesting. And then Lala, I know you know who Chip Coffey is.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And Chip is in the documentary. He talks about the Mothman. He was there. He went to Point Pleasant and all of that. We've got Paul Hynek, whose father was J. Allen Hynek. By the way, interestingly enough, when I was writing the book, my mom had always told me I had a biological father. She just knew his name. And that's all she knew about him. She didn't know anything else. They lost contact. It was a quick affair, right? And she wanted to keep me, which I'm glad she did. And I got a call from a genealogist during that time, and she wanted some information. She said I was like her fourth or fifth cousin, and she needed info on my mother's side, which I gave her. And I said, well, do you think you can find my biological father? I said, I've tried to find him online and I can't. And she goes, no, I can find him. And she did. And he had passed away in 2006.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I didn't get to meet him, but I went, he's at Forest Lawn across from Warner Brothers. And so I went there and I asked him, I said, did you ever get a name of anybody who called to pick up the body? And they go, oh, let me look. And I go, yeah, we do. We have a name. And I said, you have a number? And they said, nope, we don't have a number. Came home, looked the guy up, lived around the corner from me. He was 74 years old, had a different last name than my bio father. And I wrote him a letter and I put my picture in there. And 2 days later, his son, who works at Disney, of course he works at Disney, right? And called me, and it was actually my biological father's half brother.
Wow, that's amazing.
And so I went to dinner with him and that one son. He has 3 sons. It was 3 hours, and I said, just tell me everything about him. And an hour into the conversation, he says, well, you know, he was in the Air Force. This is everywhere he was stationed. And he said, and he was in Project Blue Book.
Wow.
My face literally fell. Like
I bet he did.
that was the last thing in the world I ever expected anyone to say. Right?
Did Paul know him?
No, Paul did not. Paul didn't know all the people that were
Yeah,
involved.
but a lot of them went to Alan's house and they had dinner with him and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and I think Fred would have been there in the early, like 50s, maybe to the late 50s, somewhere in there. But what was interesting is when he decided to leave the Air Force, when he came back here, somebody helped him get into IATSE, and he ultimately became the head of construction at Warner Brothers.
Oh, wow.
All right, so I write books for MUFON. He was in Project Blue Book. I cast movies, and he built sets for movies.
Right.
Just a little
So
synchronicity.
It's in the DNA. That's what I say. And and really, when we were both young, we were like literally identical.
Oh.
So it that's just an amazing side story that I just thought was like super cool. And Hynek loves it. Hynek is just wow.
I really like Paul. He is a character.
I love Paul. Paul. He's in the documentary. Of course, he talks about the Men in Black and everything, because of his father. We got Daryl Anka, who's Bashar. I cast 2 of his movies, that Daryl Bashar, First Contact and Alienated, which is on Amazon Prime. Of course, my favorites, JJ and Desiree Hurtak. Sixto Paz is in the documentary, Yvonne Smith, Barbara Lamb, like I said, Maurizio Cavallo, Jacqueline Smith, who's a Mantis hybrid, Vivian Chauvette, who is, of course, Octurian hybrid.
I had no idea Smith was a hybrid.
She's a Mantis hybrid. She's out on it. She has a book on it, but she doesn't. I was friends with her for years, and I didn't know that. So, so we interviewed her.
Well, her millions of viewers of her television show, Charlie's Angels, didn't know either.
Well, not that Jacqueline.
Oh, a different one. Okay.
No, she's a Jacqueline.
Got it. Okay, I got it. Sorry.
Of course, Chris Bledsoe, which I had him talk about the Lady of Light, because I thought that was very important for the people in the world. Also, a good friend of mine, Walter Noahshead Jr., who is very good friends with Bill Tompkins. Do you know Walter? Do you guys know?
No, I was waving at Daryl Stanley, who just joined the show.
Oh, okay. And he was really good friends with Bill Tompkins, who talks about the moon landing, talks about what they saw because he was there, but also talked about when he was there working on these crafts and things like that, there were lots of Pleiadian secretaries that worked there because they were ultra smart. And it was something that wasn't said, but he knew about that. And also a wonderful lady by the name of Athena Sharon, who was best friends and is still best friends with a woman from Lemuria, where they lived under Mount Shasta in Telos. So she was able to talk about Agartha and everything that was going on in Agartha.
I'd love to take a trip to Mount Shasta when the people from South America come up and lead a group up there to the clearing. See if, I promise you, I'd be at the front of the line going in through the Zendra.
Yeah.
I might not want to come back unless they threw me off.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Did anyone say that they had implants in their body, or did they talk about that at all?
Yeah. Chris Bledsoe has an implant in his arm, and he takes a magnet and he goes, watch. And you see it move up and down. And he doesn't want to have it removed because when these experiences first happen, they're always terrifying. You know, I talked to Yvonne Smith, who's, regressed over, I think, 2,000 or 3,000 people who have had abductions. And she said everything in the beginning is terrifying because you don't know what it is. But gradually you start to see that it is there to benefit you and benefit the planet. And that's where Chris's head is at as well, especially with the Lady of Light. That story is amazing, and he tells it in the documentary. And
I love how he always tells the same story. He doesn't deviate.
Yeah. And once a man came to me in the 90s who was abducted by Greys. And he literally, when you see somebody is truly freaked out, I mean, they just have a nervous tension and their eyes are just, like that. And he said, look, and he lifted up his eyelids. And he had eye implants that the aliens put in there that were all around the back of his eyeball. And he said, they see everything I see, and it's freaking me out. And he said, and I know if I were to go and have them surgically removed, that they would just put them back.
I've heard that, yeah.
Right. And now I have heard other abductees talking about that they know that the aliens are seeing everything they see, but they never said that they had eye implants.
Right. No.
Lala has two, one on her left leg.
I only really know for a fact about the one on my leg.
I know for a fact the one in her head. So right here, here's why. She kept having these headaches, and I kept getting this intuition. And I said, well, let me go get my RF equipment and we're going to figure it out. So we have a video, which we can share. We won't do it tonight. We can share of me taking this RF field strength meter and moving it across her head. And when we got right here, it started strobing like that. Yeah. She has something in here transmitting RF. And that is not normal for a human being.
That's right. But there are, just so you guys know, there are also astral and celestial implants. When you have those beings watching over you, they're actually planted either in your astral field or your celestial body. So they actually keep track of you that way.
Okay.
Which is very comforting and knowing. And I've known also a lot of people that have those as well.
Okay. I didn't know about that, honestly.
I didn't either.
Yeah. No, people just think of the normal, implants.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah.
There's one thing. Patrick J asks this question. What was the frequency range? I bet everybody can guess. 1.6 gigahertz.
What's the
Oh, yeah.
What's normal?
Zero. Zero is normal. Humans don't transmit except thermal energy from the black body radiation of your temperature. No way. 1.6 gigahertz. And it's pulsing. And so I just know it's a digital transmission. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah, that's what they talk about on Skinwalker Ranch TV show.
Yeah, well, I didn't know.
Yeah,
I didn't know until later. I'd never heard this 1.6 gigahertz stuff.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing.
Jimmy Blanchett's a friend of mine, and what he does is both of us are hams. So he transmits 144 megahertz and 432 megahertz, and they respond by flashing lights off the end of his antenna where he has a camera mounted. He gets video of the craft flashing. It's amazing.
Wow.
Well, I like the paranormal more. I like creepy stuff. I mean, I'm a scaredy cat, but whatever. Have you had any paranormal activities around you?
I have had what you might call paranormal, but for me, it's kind of normal. When I was a boy, um, I saw an angel when I was an astral angel, by the way. When I woke up in the middle of the night and saw it just floating there in my room, and I didn't really understand it. And then I thought, oh my God, is it my mom or dad's spirit? And I ran into their bedroom and I put my fingers under their nose and they were breathing. And I thought, what if it's my sisters? And I ran into their room. And then not long after that, and this all happened when I was 10 years old. And then not long after that, I was taking a bath and I looked into the nozzle and saw my reflection. And all of a sudden, I went into this other zone.
Oh,
Entire soul was sucked out of my body, brought into the middle of the universe. The universe opened up. I went inside it. And I heard all the questions that we ask ourselves when we're older. Who am I? Where did I come from? All of those things. And then it went, and I went back into my body. But I always saw spirit and stuff moving around when I was a boy. I still see it to this day. I've seen, I'm just trying to think of my mother after she had passed. She appeared in my house in a full-blown apparition as if she was solid. And I was walking through the living room and she appeared right in front of me. And I was like, oh my God. And I walked right through her and then she dissipated, but it was the most incredible experience. And then after my father died, I don't know, it was a couple of months, I woke up inside my dream, which was lucid. And I felt my mother and father walking down the hall, and my mother knocked on the door and she said, can we come in? And she said, look who I brought to see you. And I got out of bed and I hugged my father and I cried and I cried and I cried. And I kept saying, I can't believe I'm getting this experience, because it was a physical experience, although it was in the other reality.
Right.
And I mean, my mother and father talk to me every day. I mean, I know everybody who has people have passed on. Julia Roberts even talks about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she talks to her. I don't know if it was her mother or father on the other side all the time. And they come to me and they tell me things, really strange stuff. You know, I remember one time I was looking for a specific bedspread. I went to so many stores. And my mom said, go to this Bed Bath & Beyond. It's sitting there right when you walk in. And I walked in and there it was. I went, that's the one. So that's a pleasant, exciting thing about it. I don't think I've had anything like that's too scary. I've had a few things, like when my first book was being published, because it was just filled with so much information, I did start to have a lot of attacks with reptilians in my dreams at night. I did get attacked by a creature that was just weird looking. It looked like a giant intestine. And it literally grabbed me and shook me and woke me up out of bed and kept saying the F word over and over.
Wow.
F you. And, but then a male and a female angel swooped in like this. They grabbed it and they pulled it out. And I was sitting there in awe of seeing the angels when I should have been terrified of the creature, but I couldn't believe how beautiful the angels were, and that happened. And also around that time in the 90s, another angel visited me at night and actually talked. And she said for me not to take this casting job because there could be death involved.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
And that was meaning me.
Right.
And I won't go into specifics, but I knew what she meant. And at the time, it was a good paying job and I really needed it. But I just said, the universe always provides. And it did. It did.
Well, let me jump for just a second. So I want to make sure I get my favorite story in.
All right.
So Laurie Wagner and Craig and I are all friends with Chris Bledsoe.
Yes.
I'm not going to bore you with my story, but I went over and he showed me all his evidence, asked Laurie and I to help him write his very first PowerPoint presentation. First one he had given. He was giving it at UFOCon in 2020. And Craig had gone with Laurie to visit Chris, and they had an experience. So I'm going to bring this picture up. Let you describe what you remember of it. But I'm going to tell people before that what I see in it, and you can tell me I'm right or I'm wrong.
Okay, absolutely.
Okay, so we won't be visible, but this will. So
all right, there we go. All right, so Chris has taken us to the house that they abandoned after he had his abduction. And his backyard is forest. And he said when he was taking me and Laurie through the front of the forest, and he said, when we arrived home late at night, the rest of the family was not there. It was just him and Chris Jr. He said, as we were running to get into the house, the creatures started walking out of the forest. And Chris Jr. told me his story about, when he was in his bedroom, how he looked down and he could see it just standing there staring at him. And so I had a Minolta camera. So I just kept snapping pictures with my Minolta camera over and over, right? Now, this is that. Yeah, go back to that one. Go back to the one that's.
It's there.
Oh, it's there. All right. So now we didn't see this being here.
No, this being right here was only on the image.
Holy shit.
Right. We did not see the being in person. It was only, exactly, on the image. So when let people right here can see the Laurie Wagner's back. That's her hair. Right. That's her jacket. And boom, talk about this. Yeah, well, it's light and there's fingers coming out of it.
Yeah, I mean, let me move it up. Look at these hands coming out of the orb.
And we don't even understand that. That little band there, that's just the bottom of Laurie's jacket that got illuminated, right? But what was interesting is the second I saw this being in my camera, I said, oh, he is holding an interdimensional light source.
Wow.
Right? Now look at how short his legs are.
Yeah, I see.
Literally come to where our knees are. You see that. You see it has a longer neck and it has a sort of roundish head as well. Now let me pull something that is probably not on your thing, on your pictures. Let's see here.
You want me to stop sharing?
Yeah. Stop that and come back to us.
Okay.
Let me just find
and I will put us back on.
And then I'll show you guys this.
Well, let me do this so you get a bigger picture.
Oh, that's perfect. All right. So now I lighten the photo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can see features on his face.
Right. Let me turn off the lights and see if it's better.
Well, that has a big black eye on the right side.
Well, it's actually wearing goggles.
Ah, okay. Oh, I see the goggle. Yeah.
It's actually Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, well, there we go. That's not
Yeah,
too
yeah, but that is not a normal shaped human head or
No,
neck.
no. And also that being, I said those are interdimensional goggles that they use like we use night vision binoculars,
Wow.
right?
Oh,
And
the
Chris
red one.
said
Those
the
red
next
things.
morning, when Chris and I and Lori got together and I showed him the picture, Chris said they only let you take their picture if they want you to. And that being wanted you to take its picture.
So
Now,
let me tell you, the only thing that I can add, your work there is just magnificent. The only thing I can add is when Chris let me work on the picture, I saw that off in the light in front of the being you just featured, there's another one standing there.
oh, I have to look at that.
Yeah, you increase the contrast and fiddle with all the settings, and you can find that thing.
Now, I don't know if this is going to come through, but the second night, all of Chris's kids wanted to take me to the house so they could tell me their stories, right? So we went and we heard rustling in the stuff. And
Oh yeah, there you go. Somebody's following you around.
Praying mantis. It's a praying
Yes,
mantis.
it is. It definitely is. You can see his little antennae and his funky looking face. I can't see the bended wrong way knees, but I can.
You can see the eyes on the side.
Yep. You see his bug eyes.
Now let me see if I have this other picture.
I want people to stop doubting Chris Bledsoe.
Well, there's me and Chris in front of the famous tree that the Lady of Light burned. The tree was dead, and then the fire went up in the leaves, and then all of a sudden it came back.
Notice, folks, that the inside of that tree is burned out, and the limbs have green leaves on them.
They do. And let me just see if I can find the other. You know, what's interesting, and I don't have it on my phone. I wish I did. Let me just make sure I'm not passing it up. Is the photo after the picture with the being is all plasma wisp coming down. Like
yes. What a great photo. What a great photo that is.
The entire photo was packed with that. And actually, if you look, you will actually see faces of people inside some of the wisps as well.
I won't take the time to go find it, but that photo is in the presentation. And it looks like smoke or weird looking stuff like smoke attached to a spider web or whatever. It's amazing.
And then this is when I was in Sedona and I was traveling towards Bell Rock, and I saw this silver orb was traveling along the side, and I grabbed my phone so fast and I just went click, 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 and I got it.
Fantastic.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I've seen that formation with Melinda Leslie.
Oh yeah. Melinda is so much fun to go out sky watching with her.
Yeah.
So.
Oh man. Yeah, we went to not Las Vegas, but Reno, and to the Spaced Out Radio Show, and we went out with Melinda and she and Lala and others. Tried to call them in, and they came.
They'll come. They will come. All you have to do is do a little meditation, put out some happy thoughts, and they'll be there.
Yeah,
they will totally be there.
Why do you think? I know different ones have different reasons, but what do you think they're here interacting with us for? What's for world peace or to? What do you think?
Well, they can't. Here's the thing: they can't interrupt with our evolution, but they can influence us, right? They can influence us by dropping a thought about how you can help the planet. And if you are a starseed and you've been here many, many times, then you will usually see the beings from that realm where you originally came from, right? So if you were from the Pleiades, you would be seeing Nordic looking beings, right? Which are usually blonde, but some of them have brown hair. There's also what's interesting, some of the Nordics actually have Asian eyes, but they still look Caucasian, but their eyes are blue.
Wow.
Right. And that tends to, go across a lot of the human civilizations and that kind of thing. So when I wrote the ET Species Almanac, I actually used all the case studies that I did of all of those beings and got permission from either the author or the publishers to do a thumbnail review of who they were, why they were here, and what they came to do. A lot of times, some of them are, they come and they have to live on Earth for at least 2 years. And they'll pick a place. Like one of the guys from one of the races, I can't remember if he was a Clermer or what race he was, but he lived in Italy. And one of the people that he befriended was actually a starseed, was where he was from. So in this little UFO group, they would talk about things, and eventually he revealed who he was to him and saying, this is who you are, really. And that helped to expand the consciousness with them there. And in other things like Vivian Chauvette, for instance, being an Arcturian hybrid, Lori Wagner said to me one day, I had never met her. This was many, many years ago, like 20 years ago. And she said, I want you to do a session with her. And I went and she said, you might experience different dimensional things. And I said, okay. And as she was talking and going through things, all of a sudden I felt my whole energy going, and it was lifting higher and higher and higher. And then it started flashing. Everything started flashing gold. Vivian was gold. Everything was gold. It was like, vroom, vroom, and then vroom, and then my eyes closed.
Oh, wow.
And then when they reopened, I felt like such this elation. And I told her, I said, I think I just went to an Arcturian ship and they just doused me with some beautiful light. And she goes, yes, of course. So, I mean, it was an incredible experience, a really, really beautiful experience. And I mean, there's so much out there. I hear so many stories from so many people. I mean, I do hear horror stories. I do hear those, but there are more beautiful stories than there are horror stories.
That is true. Well, how do I put this? Okay. Has anybody ever talked to you about hybridization?
Mm-hmm.
Have they been through that?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's lots of people who are here are hybrids.
Do they have a different feel to them? Have you noticed that? Is it different? Okay.
Yeah, they do. You will be immediately drawn to them, right? Because they have really, really beautiful souls. Now, some of them, hybrids, we talk about hybrids in the documentary a lot because there's different categorizations of hybrids. And Barbara Lamb, who wrote 2 books on hybrids, talks about some of those as well. So you could be a hybrid. Like one of my friends who was a hybrid, she's since passed on, is her father worked in the military and they were exchanging DNA with extraterrestrials. Yeah. So when him and his wife were having a baby, they put in the 3 kinds of extraterrestrial DNA, not in features, but in intelligence and in compassion.
Okay.
And so, but she did look a little different. She was very pale with aqua eyes. Her fingers were a little different. And she was the most loving being. I went to visit her before she passed. And, you know, I told her I knew somebody that could help her. And she said, no, I have to go home. I have to go back on the ship. I could do much better there. She said, I'm done here. Right. And so another way is that they can inject it into the embryo, the extraterrestrials as well. And another way can also be done by doing an overlay in your soul frequency. So you're getting the consciousness of that race, right? It's just a different way of thinking about it. So they'll put an overlay with your permission, of course. It's your soul's permission. Mm-hmm. And if you're a starseed, you came here to do that, right? Mm-hmm. So there are different vibrations of starseeds. And now, when you have generations of starseeds, what I'm finding in all of the families I've talked to is the children now are coming in extremely brilliant and extremely smart. One boy, when I first met him, he was 15 and he spoke 5 star languages and he didn't know how he could speak them.
Wow.
And he had a younger brother. And when I went to visit them at their home, they both showed me their father had bought them all kinds of whatever equipment they needed. And they showed me all of these inventions they were going to build to make the planet a better, safer place to live. And wow. I was like, man, and these boys were masters. These were master teachers, these boys, right? I mean, I get chills just thinking about it. And, you know, I think one is like in his early 20s now and all of that. So they'll be embarking on their missions pretty soon.
Okay, tell us, make sure we get your list of where you're going to be soon so people can go and visit with you, or if you have shows coming up.
I do. I'm going to be in Sedona next month at the end of the month. I can't remember the name of the conference. It's on my Facebook page. If anybody wants to go there, Devara Thunderheart is putting it on. And I'll be there showing the Extraterrestrial Species Almanac documentary and all books and all that kind of stuff. And that's the only place right now that I have scheduled because I have several movies coming up and that's going to take up a lot of my time.
Do you have any thoughts for another book down the road that you might want to do?
Well, I have a book series, right? Mm-hmm. This is book 3 of 4 books. It's called The Autobiography of an Extraterrestrial Saga. I Am Tehran. And it's about Tehran is a Pleiadian. He's 7'7", and he is born dualistic. And up there, they explain that in every 200,000 births in their fully conscious society, a dualistic being will be born with purpose. And he is born with purpose because he ultimately becomes the head senior professor at Melchizedek that teaches starseeds who are coming to Earth.
Wow.
And so he prepares them for their journey here while we learn all about the universal setup. We learn about the universal duality, and we learn about duality in general, which is what our planet is. We're all learning duality here. Mm-hmm. And so it's an amazing story to watch him go through several of the books. And I say the reader becomes him, and you learn how to merge your duality. So what I've been doing, MUFON wanted me to write more books, but I said, I can't right now because I went and I wrote 2 prequels to the book already. I've already redone all the artwork for all the book.
All right.
With an incredible artist in England. And I revamped and added more characters into the 4 books that are out. And right now I'm writing the 7th and final book that will sew it all up. So it's a large task, but it's super
Labor of love.
Yeah.
it's a total labor of love. Total labor of love. Exactly. So people can check it out at autobiography on anet.com. So
That's wonderful.
yeah.
So, it's kind of so interesting to me, all these synchronicities that happen where people that are around Chris Bledsoe finally wind up making some kind of connection and so forth. And so Lalo and I have a picture that we're going to send you. We won't bore our audience with it because we show it too much. But anyway, we're going to send it to you and let you take a look at it, because this is one of these shaped heads with big almond eyes. And it visited us while we were awake by walking up on us in our backyard.
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah. And talked telepathically to her.
What'd you say?
You both saw it physically?
I did not see the thing
The
physically.
camera picked. I had a feeling.
So she had a feeling, and it got the smoky stuff you're talking about, and the face is in the smoky stuff, but it talked to her telepathically.
Yes.
I'm the weirdo that gets messages.
No, that's not a weirdo. That means that they love you and that they trust you and they're embracing you with information so that you can assimilate it and share it with others.
Well, they gave us a free will directive. They said, we want you to participate in this, but you think it over, because you have to commit before we can do anything.
Yeah.
So they are the free will. Thank goodness they're the free will side. And so we thought about it for three days and committed. And since then, we see stuff all the time. All the time.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that there's more activity around? Have you noticed that?
Way more activity.
Yeah.
Lots more. I mean, it's interesting. I had a lawyer for the documentary who is furthest thing from UFOs, but he lived near contact in the desert. So when I screened it a couple of years ago there, we did a big pre-screening before it was released. And I started telling him about the stories and all of those things. And he was like, why haven't I ever heard of this before? I said, because you don't look it up. That's why. Mm-hmm. And when he was coming to visit me, not this year, but last year at Contact, we walked out of his front yard and there is a ship right there in front of him, and he filmed it, and he's just freaking out saying, I can't believe. I said, well, see, now you're open. So they're coming and saying hi. Sure. Right? They're coming.
Well, I had a few experiences. Then I went and visited Chris Bledsoe and had the experiences with him. Yes. And of course, I went home and it's like, I had some. Then I got with her, and then we're like all the time.
Yes, absolutely. And the more people that are like-minded that are together, it helps to just bring it out more.
Yeah.
I call it the quantum entanglement of two souls. So whatever.
That's amazing. It's just amazing.
Yeah. Go ahead. No.
Is the lawyer now on board with everything? And
oh no, he's totally loves it. He totally loves it. Yeah. And I mean, an agent, I told him the same thing. He was such a skeptic. I mean, he was one of those diehards, like, oh my God, just quit talking about how you don't believe it, right? Because it was just like getting on everyone's last nerve. And then one day he walks outside to go to lunch and he sees something shiny in the sky, and he takes a picture of it. and it's a giant donut silver UFO.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a cylinder and a triangle, 3 triangles, cylinder, all sorts of orbs. We were just covered up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
none of our neighbors see it. None of them.
Well, we don't.
Well, they're not looking.
No.
That's true.
They're not looking.
Yeah, we sit on our deck and nobody else comes out.
Right. Yeah. It's
The
amazing.
sky is so beautiful. I take astronomy pictures all the time, and people just don't look up. We have gotten trapped in front of our TVs.
That's correct. That's correct. I always say to people, you have to have your eyes to the skies.
So tell before we wrap up, tell me how you met Lori Wagner. Was it working on a movie?
I met Lori Wagner when we all went to Giant Rock and the Integratron to film Bob Short, who hadn't channeled in something like 20 years, bringing him and his wife Shirley back there. And we filmed it. And he channeled a being called Commander Corton. It goes back to Giant Rock when George Van Tassel took over the airport, and he lived with his family under the rock because that's where the house was originally built with the prior guy there. And not really a house, sort of like a cave. And George Van Tassel began channeling there. He was the very first person to channel Ashtar. Mm-hmm. And he was channeling all these different beings. And Bob kept hearing him in his head, go to the place that has the big rock. And he kept asking people, and he went there. And my friend Athena, who's still alive also, but Bob is no longer with us, but Athena is, they were both there when all the beginnings of his channelings. And so I got firsthand information, especially about Ashtar, because he said it was the first time that actually George got thrown back because, you know, he came in with such a force.
Wow.
But Commander Corton was one of those beings that he had originally done it. But back then, I think it was called a chromata something graph. And they would put it through a machine on the ships to put it through your mind. So that's why a lot of channelings back then sounded like this, like Kevin Ryerson. Kevin Ryerson, you remember from the Sherman McLean on a Limb. A lot of those channelers, that's why they sounded like that. And then once they were able to figure out how to actually just put the thoughts in your head to channel it correctly, they pretty much have to get your vessel clean and clear first. For me, when I did this writing, it was 2 years of my spiritual awakening with these universal master teachers preparing my body. And then they said, it's time to sit down and write the books you came here to write. You know, don't stop, don't edit, write and write and write until you can write no more. And I was just writing stories like I was reading a story. And that's what the autobiography of an extraterrestrial saga came from.
People probably know, and I know you know. But anyway, I've had 2 miraculous healings from interactions with Chris Bledsoe and his beings. Well, do you have any last things to say to our audience before we have to wrap it up?
No, just have fun. Just go out there and learn as much as you can and stay positive and work on your spiritual self, because the more you elevate, the quicker the world will elevate.
One of the things that I love most about having met Chris Bledsoe was getting to know you. And I am really happy.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much.
She's probably I'm going to send you pictures. She'll probably want to talk to you about hybrids. She's one. Anyway, everybody, thank you. Tomorrow night, Ray Hernandez returns. We're going to go through his book and some other stuff that we didn't get to last time, because I'm sure Craig knows when you talk to Ray, it's a nonstop stream of consciousness, and we didn't get halfway through what we wanted to.
That's right.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much, and good night.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.